So a few facts on the liver. The liver is the largest internal organ in the body, and the liver is the only organ in the body that has the ability to regrow. And when you understand the liver, when you understand what it does, and it's the role that it plays, you'll understand why God made it so. You see, cancer cannot get a hold on the body if the liver's working in optimum performance. So those pieces of information alone make it a very important that we human beings know something about the house we live in, especially your liver. Your liver is under your right rib, and if it's not happy when you push it, it'll go, don't. Is that right? Very simple test. And you can see that I'm pushing my fingers way up under my ribs there. But I don't have any discomfort at all. If you have any discomfort, no need to fear. You're in a detox and your liver's very happy. Sorry, not very happy, because it's very busy. It's very busy helping you to detox. But it'll certainly recover.
Dr. Barbara O'Neill, a controversial figure in the realm of alternative health, has garnered attention for her views on liver health and the potential toxins that may harm this vital organ. While her qualifications and practices have faced scrutiny, her claims about the impact of certain substances on liver function resonate with broader discussions about environmental and dietary factors that can lead to liver damage. In this exploration, we'll delve into 7 significant toxins that O'Neill and other health experts suggest could be detrimental to liver health, examining their sources, effects, and the mechanisms through which they may harm the liver. The liver is a remarkable organ, responsible for detoxifying the blood, metabolizing nutrients, and producing essential proteins. However, it is also vulnerable to a variety of toxins that can lead to conditions such as fatty liver disease, hepatitis, and even liver failure. Understanding these toxins is crucial for maintaining liver health and preventing long-term damage.
Now, would you agree with me, students, that Americans have become high carbohydrate consumers? Yes. Now, I say become because I don't think anyone chose to eat this way. It was just there, it's just easy. We're such a fast society today, and many people don't think about their lunchtime till they're hungry, or their evening meal till they're hungry. And there's no time to soak the legumes and cook the legumes. There's no time to steam the vegetables. They just want food now. So I think it's something that is just, you could say, evolved. And it's got to the point where these are very popular foods, and we are getting the ramifications of that, and people are starting to think, now what's happening here? What's happening here? The first person that blew the whistle on it really was probably in the 80s, Dr. Robert Atkins. You've heard of Dr. Robert Atkins? Yeah. Now his book, it hit the press, and it became New York Times best-selling cookbook 4 years running. Wow. The nutritionists and the doctors hated him. Someone loved him. Who loved him? The people. You know why they loved him? It worked. His story is fascinating. He's a GP in his 40s, putting on a bit of weight, and of course that's what this will do. Let me show you why it does it. We'll just take a little, we're going to finish Atkins in a minute, but let me show you. You see, he knew his science, that's why, and the science I'm about to show you. All of these foods break down in the gastrointestinal tract to a singular structure called glucose. Now the glucose goes on the M1 main highway portal vein straight to the project manager. And then the project manager determines where this glucose goes. And it'll take it inside the cell. Remember I promised you we'll be going to the CBD every day? So the glucose goes inside the cell. It goes through a 20-step pathway. The 20-step pathway gives us 2 units of energy. Isn't that why we eat? Now, the end result of that 20-step pathway is a chemical form of glucose called pyruvate. Pyruvate is the chemical form of glucose that gets fed into the next section of the cell, often called the powerhouse, because this little 8-step pathway delivers to us a whopping 36 units of energy. So the question now arises, why does a 20-step pathway only give us 2 units, and why does an 8-step pathway give us 36 units of energy? The difference is oxygen. This is called an anaerobic pathway, anaerobic because it doesn't use oxygen. produces energy by the process of fermentation. That's where a cancer cell lives. Remember what we looked at yesterday? Doesn't like oxygen, consumes 15 times the rate of glucose because it's running up there. Interesting. This pathway is called an aerobic pathway. It's called an aerobic pathway because it uses oxygen. Tomorrow we're going to pursue that. But today we've got to stay on track. We're looking at the journey of glucose. So the first place that the liver will send the glucose, number one, is to the cell to be burnt as fuel. But on a high carbohydrate diet, you got a lot of glucose left over. And so now the body stores it in what I call the most amazing fuel, quick fuel supply in the body. It's called glycogen. They're little molecules of glucose just sitting in your muscle cell waiting to be used. Do you wonder how you had the energy to exercise this morning? We only gave you broth last night. You only had aloe lemon water this morning, and yet you did it. It's because of your glycogen stores. They're already sitting in your muscle cell, and as soon as you move the body requiring more, they just pluck it through the energy cycle. Pluck another one through the energy cycle. What an amazing process.
Excessive alcohol consumption is one of the most well-known contributors to liver damage. Chronic alcohol use can lead to alcoholic liver disease, which encompasses a spectrum of conditions from fatty liver to alcoholic hepatitis and cirrhosis. The liver metabolizes alcohol, but when consumed in large quantities, it can overwhelm the liver's ability to process it, leading to inflammation and cellular damage. Symptoms of alcohol-related liver disease can include jaundice, abdominal pain, and fatigue. O'Neill emphasizes the importance of moderation and awareness of alcohol's effects on liver health. Acetaminophen is a common over-the-counter pain reliever that, when taken in excessive doses, can cause acute liver failure. The liver metabolizes acetaminophen, but high doses can lead to accumulation of toxic metabolites that damage liver cells. It is crucial to adhere to the recommended dosages and avoid combining acetaminophen with alcohol, as this can significantly increase the risk of liver toxicity. O'Neill warns against self-medicating with acetaminophen without proper guidance, particularly for individuals with pre-existing liver conditions.
By the way, the liver stores a little bit, and this glycogen can be sent all over the body, whereas the glycogen that's in the muscle cell, it's like in a prison, it can only be used by the muscle cell. And when you think about it, that's the cell that has probably the most demand on it. So what's the body going to do with the rest? What's the liver going to do with the rest of the glucose? Well, we've got an amazing fuel depot, fuel supply. I call it the basement stores. You know what the basement stores are? They're the fat cells. And what's happening to Americans today? Whew. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When I used to visit my daughter 25 years ago, I could go to a store and buy a small size. Today I have to go to a special section called the petite section. Because 40 years ago, 50 years ago, my size was actually a normal size. It's actually not a normal size today, which is crazy, isn't it? But Australia's up equal with America here. 63% of Australians are obese or overweight. Whew. What's caused that? Here it is. It's the high carbohydrate diet. So the third place that the liver will send that excess glucose is as fat. Now what I've given you here is basic science. I might have mentioned earlier that I like to use the BHSC method: Bible, history, science, and common sense. So with history, we've got the history of people who never used to eat a high carbohydrate diet because people used to make what they eat, and that all takes a long time. So what did people eat a lot of? Well, Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, in her book Gut and Psychology, she actually looks at the histories, and she said thick vegetable soups was probably one of the most common foods that people ate. You see, the mother would, on her fuel stove, would put it in the corner and Maybe she'd throw a bone or two in there as well, especially if they didn't have a lot of money, but the vegetables are cheap. So historically, people ate, on the whole, a lot of vegetables. And let's go back to even more primitive times when there wasn't refrigeration. If an animal was killed, they would dry a lot of it, they'd have a big feast for a couple of days, but they may not eat meat again for another month. What did they eat? A lot of vegetables, roots, things that they grew. So historically, you can see that. Now we're looking at scientifically. So when people are on this high carbohydrate diet, too much glucose is released. The body can only deal with so much, so it has to be stored in the fat cells. Now, Dr. Robert Atkins knew that science. So he looked at himself getting this, what we call spare tire. So he decided to do an experiment on himself. He decided to stop all carbohydrates. What did he eat? He ate a lot of vegetables, okay? And a lot of people don't realise that, with the exclusion of the potato. So he was eating a lot of fibre. And he knew also that the gastrointestinal tract needed to move through the next two food groups. He ate a lot of meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs. So there was his protein. And meat, butter, cream, cheese, eggs was also supplying another food group, which was fat. Remember, he just experimented on himself. Few things happened. His weight just fell off. Why? Well, he's not supplying the quick release glucose stores, and so his liver has to start breaking down his fat stores. It's called gluconeogenesis, creating glucose from the fat stores. He was never hungry. Why? Because these are the three food groups that keep the food in the stomach longer. Fibre binds up the glucose and it slowly releases it. Protein, well, protein's broken down specifically in the stomach. And fat, it coats the food a little bit, so it takes a little bit longer to break down. That's good news, because it means we don't have to be eating all day long. We can eat and forget about food for the next 5 or 6 hours. He had heaps of energy. Where's he getting his energy from if he's not giving this quick release glucose foods? Well, as I mentioned, his liver breaks down his fat stores to give him the glucose, and his liver has the ability to break down protein and fat to give glucose. He had lots of energy, weight's falling off him, and he's never hungry. Has he found the perfect diet? Well, the 11 million people that it has been estimated has been helped by his diet agree.
When people turn to herbal supplements for health benefits, certain herbs can be hepatotoxic, meaning that they can cause liver damage. For example, kava, comfrey, and certain weight loss supplements have been linked to liver injury. O'Neill advocates for caution when using herbal remedies, as they're not always safe and can interact with other medications, leading to adverse effects. It's essential to consult healthcare professionals before starting any new supplement regimen. Environmental toxins, particularly pesticides, have been implicated in liver disease. Studies have shown that exposure to certain agricultural chemicals can lead to liver inflammation and damage. O'Neill highlights the importance of consuming organic produce when possible to reduce exposure to these harmful substances. Additionally, industrial chemicals, such as those found in cleaning products and plastics, can also pose risk to liver health. Awareness of chemicals present in everyday products can help individuals make informed choices to protect their liver.
So let's have a look at cholesterol. It's a good time to look at it because the liver makes cholesterol. And by the way, it makes cholesterol according to the demand our body puts on it. And 80% of the cholesterol that the liver makes is made from glucose. And 20% of the cholesterol that the liver makes is made from fat. Now, this information tells us straight away it's not the butter on the bread, it's the bread under the butter that's the problem. And that's what Atkins found. So let's have a look at cholesterol. There are two main types. One is high density lipoprotein called HDL, high density lipoprotein, and LDL. HDL is usually called the good guy, and the reason for that is it's the carrier. So it carries excess cholesterol from the blood back into the liver. That's why it's called the good guy. LDL is called the bad guy. But what you've got to remember is the body doesn't make anything bad. It has a role. So what is its role? Its role is that of a repairer and a rebuilder. So wherever there's damage, you're going to find LDL because it's the repairer and the rebuilder. But it plays another role. It delivers cholesterol to the brain because the brain loves cholesterol. Cholesterol to the brain. Now let me show you something briefly. We're going to look at this in further detail later. Glucose burns at 4 calories per gram. A calorie is a unit of energy. That's what glucose burns at. Whereas fat burns at 9 calories per gram. Can you see why the brain loves fat? Because fat is going to give more than twice the units of energy, and our brain cells, they're consuming fuel fast.
PFAS, often referred to as forever chemicals, are synthetic compounds found in various consumer products, including non-stick cookware, food packaging, and water-repellent fabrics. Research has linked PFAS exposure to liver damage, particularly non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. These substances accumulate in the body over time and can disrupt hormonal balance, leading to metabolic issues. O'Neill emphasizes the need for awareness regarding PFAS and suggests minimizing exposure by choosing PFAS-free products. Aflatoxins are toxic compounds produced by certain molds that can contaminate food supplies, particularly grains and nuts. Chronic exposure to aflatoxins have been associated with an increased risk of liver cancer. O'Neill advises individuals to be cautious about food storage and handling practices to prevent mold growth and subsequent aflatoxin contamination. Properly storing food and ensuring it is free from mold can significantly reduce the risk of exposure. Heavy metals such as lead, mercury, and cadmium can accumulate in the liver and cause significant damage over time. These metals can enter the body through contaminated water, food, or even the air. O'Neill stresses the importance of environmental awareness and the need to test for heavy metal exposure, particularly in areas with known contamination issues. Reducing exposure to heavy metals can help protect liver health and your overall well-being. In conclusion, the liver is a critical organ that plays a vital role in detoxifying the body and maintaining metabolic balance. However, it is susceptible to damage from a variety of toxins, including alcohol, acetaminophen, certain herbal supplements, environmental chemicals, PFAS, aflatoxins, and heavy metals. Dr. Barbara O'Neill's insights into these toxins serves as a reminder of the importance of being mindful about our exposure to harmful substances and making informed choices to protect our liver health. While O'Neill's approach may be controversial and her qualifications are questioned, the underlying message about the need for awareness regarding liver health is valid. Individuals are encouraged to adopt a holistic approach to health, focusing on a balanced diet, regular exercise, and minimizing exposure to known toxins. By doing so, we can support our liver's natural detoxification processes and promote long-term health. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more exciting content.